nutzen werden.
Es geht unter anderem um Treffen zwischen Warburg-Chef Olearius und Scholz als Bürgermeister, der sich aber nicht mehr erinnern will, worum es dabei ging. Schon mehrfach war Scholz deshalb beim U-Ausschuss in Hamburg vorgeladen.
Unglaublich viele Anhörungen, unglaublich viele Akten haben nur ein Ergebnis gebracht. Es gibt keine Erkenntnisse darüber, dass es eine politische Beeinflussung gegeben hat.
Die Union bezweifelt das, will Scholz' Rolle als Finanzminister und Bundeskanzler in der Sache beleuchten, enge Vertraute und natürlich den Kanzler selbst befragen.
Wir haben eine ganze Fülle von E-Mail-Verkehr und Chatverläufen, alles Mögliche, auf die man zurückgreifen kann. Und wir haben eine Menge an anderen Zeugen. Und da sind wir sehr gespannt, was die uns alle mitteilen. Und wenn dann am Ende Herr Scholz der Einzige ist, der sich an gar nichts mehr erinnern kann und gar nichts mitteilen kann, dann müssen Sie selbst beantworten, wie Sie den Sachverhalt dann bewerten.
In der SPD spricht man von einem durchschaubaren politischen Manöver. Die Linke will eine Unterstützung des U-Ausschusses prüfen. Die nötigen Stimmen, um ihn zu beschließen, hat die Union aber auch alleine.
Cosima Gill im Hauptstadtstudio. Ich will noch mal nachfragen, wie lauten die genauen Vorwürfe? Da ging es ja auch, wir haben es gerade gehört, um Erinnerungslücken.
Absolut. Das ist einer der größten Finanzskandale in Deutschland. Darin verwickelt die Warburg Bank in Hamburg. Das haben wir eben auch in dem Film gesehen. Und kurz noch mal zum Verständnis. Bei diesen Cum-Ex-Geschäften geht es darum, dass ein Aktiengeschäft und die Rückerstattung von Steuern in Wirklichkeit nie gezahlt wurde. Und das ist dieser ganze Hintergrund der Cum-Ex-Geschäfte. Und der Vorwurf lautet eben, dass das Hamburger Finanzamt 2016 die Gelder schon hätte zurückfordern sollen. Und damals war Scholz Bürgermeister in Hamburg. Und die Frage ist jetzt eben der politischen Einflussnahme. Und ein anderer Vorwurf, den Sie auch eben angesprochen haben, lautet, dass Olaf Scholz damals von der Bank die Vorgesetzten getroffen haben soll, 2016 und 2017. Und jetzt spricht er immer wieder von Erinnerungslücken. Und das hält die Opposition für unglaubwürdig.
Welche Antworten verspricht sich die Union?
Die Union hatte heute eine Pressekonferenz dazu und hat davon gesprochen, dass sie sich vor allem in 3 Punkten Aufklärung erhofft. Und ich lese das jetzt mal vor. Es geht um 3 ganz konkrete Fragen. Die erste Frage wäre, wer trägt politisch die Verantwortung dafür, dass Hamburg in den Jahren 2016 und 2017 als einziges der 16 Bundesländer zu Unrecht gezahlte Steuererstattung aus Cum-Ex-Geschäften nicht zurückgefordert hat? Die zweite Frage, die heute aufgeworfen wurde, wurde von politischer Seite Einfluss genommen auf die Entscheidungsfindung in den Hamburger Behörden? Und die dritte Frage war, von der die Union heute gesprochen hat, sind Aussagen des damaligen ersten Hamburger Bürgermeisters Scholz zu den Ereignissen zu der Steuersache Warburg-Hamburg glaubwürdig? Und da erhofft sich die Union Aufklärung.
Was man dazu sagen muss, es gibt ja bereits einen Ausschuss in Hamburg. Was soll ein weiterer Ausschuss dann auf Bundesebene da bringen?
Heute bei der Pressekonferenz wurde deutlich, dass die Union sagt, man hätte eben gewisse Einschränkungen bei den Aufklärungen in Hamburg. Man könnte zum Beispiel andere Bundesländer daran nicht beteiligen. Und außerdem, das haben Sie eben auch schon mal gesagt, geht es darum, dass die Union das schärfste Schwert der Opposition nutzen will für die Aufklärung. Das ist so ein Untersuchungsausschuss. Da würde die Union auch noch mal andere Möglichkeiten haben, um eben zur Aufklärung zu sorgen. Und die wollen sie nutzen für mehr Tiefe. Außerdem ist der Union wichtig, dass es dabei auch um den Vollzug von Bundesrecht geht und auch um Steuern, die dem Bund zugestanden hätten. Deswegen will die Union davon Gebrauch machen. Sie hat allerdings vorher auch betont, sie hätten versucht, Scholz im Finanzausschuss dazu einzuladen. Sie hätten eine Aktuelle Stunde dazu gehalten und es hätte genug Möglichkeiten gegeben, vorher mit dem Kanzler ins Gespräch zu kommen. Das hätte aber nicht geklappt. Deswegen jetzt der Untersuchungsausschuss.
Wie reagiert denn die SPD auf diesen Vorstoß?
Die SPD spricht von einem durchschaubaren politischen Manöver und wirft der Union parteitaktische Interessen vor. Ich zitiere jetzt auch noch mal Katja Mast, parlamentarische Geschäftsführerin der SPD-Bundestagsfraktion. Sie sagt, das Thema ist parlamentarisch und gesellschaftlich vollumfänglich aufgearbeitet und transparent. Und an anderer Stelle in der SPD hören wir, dass es um Stimmungsmache gegen den Kanzler gehe.
Am Ende stellt sich natürlich die Frage, wie gefährlich kann dieser mögliche neue Ausschuss der Union für den Kanzler werden?
Ich glaube, an dieser Stelle ist es ganz wichtig, noch mal zu betonen, dass eben auch die Generalstaatsanwaltschaft in Hamburg vor kurzem noch mal klargemacht hat, dass es bisher keine Anhaltspunkte dafür gibt, dass Olaf Scholz tatsächlich falsch ausgesagt hat. Und das sagt der Kanzler ja auch immer wieder selbst. Unangenehm könnte es für den Bundeskanzler aber auf jeden Fall werden, weil 2025 stehen die nächsten Wahlen an. Und so ein Untersuchungsausschuss kann sich ja ziehen. Wir haben heute auch noch mal gesprochen mit der Bürgerbewegung Finanzwende. Die hat uns auch noch mal darauf aufmerksam gemacht, dass bei jedem Untersuchungsausschuss Untersuchungsausschuss ja auch überraschende Details ans Licht kommen können. Und dabei geht es ja immerhin um die Glaubwürdigkeit des Bundeskanzlers. Also unangenehm in jedem Fall.
Cosima Gill, danke ins Hauptstadtstudio.
Dieser Zauber ist noch nicht bereit.
Products on my channel over the years, I'm very fascinated by these horrible ideas that actually get made and then have a colossal failure. And I didn't know there were so many people that were like me who appreciated the fine art of an absolute abomination. So, when I learned about the Museum of Failure, I got a big smile on my face. The Museum of Failure is basically a showcase of some of the worst inventions that ever hit the market, and they've got some bangers on there. I recently learned about it on stream, so I'd like to show you some of it. Did you watch the Inside Edition on the Museum of Failure? No, that sounds like a cool museum, though. Museum of Failure pays tribute to failed products. Heinz Easy Squirt Funky Purple. That was not a failure. I had that. It was amazing. That was when ketchup tried to get real crazy. It went extreme, so you'd get different colors of ketchup. I used to eat some crinkle cut fries with some Easy Squirt Funky Purple, and it was amazing. I think everyone had some of the Easy Squirt.
Imagine failing so spectacularly. It's rather violent.
Oh, the Hawaii chair. Hey, this one's a classic. Anyone remember the Hawaii chair? That's the one that they used to play the As Seen on TV commercials for pretty often, where it's like, are you tired of just sitting down and not being able to get a good workout in? Well, fucking spin your ass in a circle on the Hawaii chair. It's gonna give you a six-pack abs, tighten your glutes, give you quads that you've always dreamed of. The Hawaii chair is backed by medical science to be one of the finest exercise equipment, and you can use it while working at home or working at the office.
Out of your workout, the Hawaii
Damn, they got a jingle for it.
You know, Tamara, the Hawaii chair wasn't designed just for
Dieser
home.
Zauber ist noch
I
nicht
mean,
bereit.
after all, for some of us, at least 40 hours of our week is spent sitting behind a desk at the office.
Ah, cringe! This was huge. Are these really failed products? They aired this kind of shit all the time for the Hawaii chair. I assume this was another, like, shake weight. Like a financial success, but like a cultural failure.
But the museum's organizer told CBS News she
Whoa!
wants the exhibit to
That was an awesome mask.
failure can be
What was it? I don't think this... Was this the Rejuvenique? I don't think so. This was that horrifying mask. I made a video on this one a long time ago. It's like a fucking Jason Voorhees mask where it's supposed to like tighten the skin on your face. So you just like cremate yourself in there while it cooks the skin. Oh, it is the Rejuvenique. I wasn't sure if that's what it was called. I didn't know if that box went to that piece of equipment or not. I thought it had a very different name.
Fear of failure hold us back from innovating, trying new things.
I don't know half of these. Can you take me on a tour?
so while the new Coke, purple ketchup, and
I am still super tired of this slander. There's no way.
Roles. Dom, daddy. We'll process things in different ways. It's just part of the concessions we have to make when we join into a relationship, right?
I agree. I do more of the, in this specific way, in the terms of helping the other person process their emotions. I do a little bit more of the lifting there.
But it's probably because you don't need help processing yours, right?
No, I do. I think I actually do, and I ask her for help with that, and she does help me with that. So it's not all one way. I do need help with that. But when it comes to this doll sex, I need a break. Daddy needs a break.
Well, no. You don't need a break. You need access to their body, and then for them to shut their emotions off. It's a way bigger ask than just saying, "I need a break."
No.
Right?
I don't want her to shut her emotions off. I actually need her to not shut her emotions.
Well, you
off.
need her to shut her emotions off from you. You don't want to engage with that. That's her. Yeah,
right. I don't want her to dissociate because that will cause problems. I think that's the concern, is that she'll do this by dissociating. That would not be okay with. If I sense from looking at her lifeless body that she's dissociated, then I will yell at her for a whole new thing. I need somebody to be taking care of Shaylin. I just need it to not be me once in a while.
You need like a threesome with like a caretaker to be touching her head while you're...
Yes. And explaining to her how she feels and calling her a stupid bitch and telling her to shut up. Somebody needs to take the reins for 12 minutes.
Gotcha.
12 minutes a month.
Have you ever thought about just paying... Oh, no, because you guys are in a closed relationship. Have you ever thought about just like paying a prostitute for this experience?
I could pay Shaylin for this experience.
No, you can't, because you don't have that. You can't just change your relationship with her.
I don't have that kind of money. We have a... I don't know. No. See, that's the thing, is that the prostitute would have the same problem as the doll.
Which is?
It's not really giving me anything. A prostitute's not really doing something for you. Like, they kind of are, but it's...
Do you feel like if somebody gives you like a blowjob, are they doing something for you, or are they doing it only because they love you, so it doesn't count as them doing something for you?
I think it depends on the blowjob. I've gotten blowjobs that felt like somebody was just trying to suck my soul out of me, and then I've gotten blowjobs that felt like they're doing a nice thing for me. I don't have a blanket interpretation of getting a blowjob.
Okay.
I still contest your overall view of this situation as unresolved, and that Shaylin said no. She said yes, and I got what I wanted, and I feel like this is a victory.
I don't think that should be the goal of those types of conversations, right?
Well, maybe that's the issue, is you don't like my goal.
Yeah, I don't think you should be trying to win confrontations with a partner. I think that the goal should be
to get something.
Yeah, but the goal should be that both of you walk away feeling like you've gotten something and you're both satisfied.
That wasn't my goal. Yeah. So you just don't like my goal.
Well, from a business perspective, sure, but from a relationship perspective, like, it just seems not healthy for both parties. Like, if Shaylin was trying to extract something from you like that, like, you would probably walk away feeling awful, right?
It wouldn't be an extraction. That's the thing, is that I would just answer her question.
Well, like,
again,
you would just say no, right?
I'd say yes, or I would say no.
Okay.
Or I would say, I need to think about this. Or I would say, I have some clarifying questions to make sure I know what I'm agreeing to. But whatever I said, I would give her the clear sense that I am figuring out for myself what I'm okay with, and I will return with an answer for you, and you'll know clearly where you stand. Again, I reject the notion that Shaylin is saying no to the sex act, or that she has even any particular reservations about the act itself. She just doesn't like making agreements.
I disagree, but you know her way better than I do, yeah. So, like, it feels to me like she doesn't have any problems with the act itself, but she's trying to figure out, like, emotionally where both of you are going to be standing before and after the act.
She's trying to control where we're going to be standing. She's not trying to figure it out.
She is trying to control, but that's because she's one of the members of this interaction. So of course she wants some kind of control.
Oh, let me be clear. When I call Shaylin controlling, my problem isn't that she is exerting control. It's the way she's exerting control. It's that she's underhandedly trying to control it.
How do you feel like it's underhanded? Like, what in what way? What do you mean by that?
Well, if what you're trying to say is, hey, listen, I want to provide this thing for you, but I have to be honest. I'm a little scared and feeling a little abandoned by the prospect of you completely, detaching from attuning to me, because as we both know, I'm kind of an unstable bitch, and as an unstable bitch, I need you to be somewhat more attuned to me than you normally feel like you should be, and this is a constant power struggle between us. So I want to try to work out with you what level of attunement we're going to have, or for how long you're going to be not attuning to me. And this is something I'd like to work on, maybe in a couple years or something, I'll be able to just say yes to what you're asking. But right now, you're asking me to take care of myself, but the fact is, I don't really know how to do that. I'm not very good at it. And so here's what I need from you. And then come up with a list of demands or counter proposal or whatever, or say, this is something we could work towards. I can't do it right now, though. I'm really not ready. Any of that would be just great. My problem is not in that conversation, my problem was not her saying no, because she didn't say no. She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. She didn't say yes to the conversation. She didn't say no to the conversation.
Yeah, okay.
She just leaves me in this
So here's
hell.
Yeah. So what do you think is happening? What do you think is the problem? It's pretty simple, I think.
I think there was a problem where the conversation about the interview, I think, is a metaphor for how she feels during sex, and she doesn't explicitly
hold on.
think.
Too complicated. So this is my feeling. You can tell me if you think I'm right or wrong, okay? I feel like her problem is that she doesn't know where she wants to set her boundaries, and she's kind of hoping that you'll help her figure that out. And you're frustrated because you're not having a conversation with her trying to figure out where her boundaries are. You're making an ask and you want her to already come to the table with that solved. Like, you want her to be able to come to the table and say, like, yes or no. Don't ask me these dumb fucking questions, Shaylin. We don't need to have this other random shit. Just tell me what you want or tell me what you don't want, and then boom. But she's coming to you, we're in a bit more of a undecided state, and her trying to navigate her feelings and yours simultaneously are different when she's trying to, because she's trying to advocate on her behalf and your behalf, but
You
you're
give
only
these
pushing
women
your side.
so much charity.
No,
can't
actually,
believe
I'll
it.
be totally honest with you. I literally just had this huge problem like 3 days ago in my relationship where I'm really bad at asserting boundaries. And I literally just now I can speak from Shaylin's perspective. I literally had the exact same issue where I'll have problems where people will. Here's a personal thing that I've just recently figured this out. I don't know how the fuck it took me so long, but when I get into conflicts in relationships, my thing is usually I'll withdraw or I'll start lying. These are the two things that I'll do because I just don't want to like interface with their person. They're irritating me. And what I found out was that there are some boundaries that I have in a relationship. There are now usually these are more passive, like don't ask me about this or don't talk to me about this or act this, do this particular thing, right? And this is like a need that I have that before I thought I didn't care, but now I'm like, actually I have this need. But when the other person isn't aware that those boundaries exist, they're just kind of existing in a state where they're kind of pushing, pulling, trying to figure shit out, and then I'm getting triggered, and now everything is getting fucked up because I'm not doing a good job at asserting boundaries, right? So oftentimes in relationships, people will blame the aggressor, when in reality, the person failing to assert themselves can be just as much responsible for everything else. Because their lack of having clear boundaries means that the other person doesn't know when to push and not push. The other person doesn't know what's safe to go into. And then the person with the boundaries doesn't know how to negotiate any interactions because they're randomly getting upset at things as well, right?
I understand what you're saying about yourself.
Okay.
And I believe you.
But you don't think Shaylin has trouble asserting her boundaries?
Shaylin is not like you in this sense.
Okay.
I think you're assuming that Shaylin is trying to figure out what her boundaries are and then assert them. And that I don't believe that is happening. I believe that Shaylin and many of these other women that you and I come across and disagree about get a lot of power by not having boundaries and not asserting those boundaries. Because when you tell someone what your boundary, what you're also, you're not just saying everything on this side of the line is not okay. You're also saying everything on this side of the line is okay.
Yes.
And so all these other tools you have, like arguing and figuring things out and explaining and writing narratives and co-authoring narratives and problem solving and all these other ways that you exert power and get power in relationships and conversations. Shaylin, as you saw, Shaylin got angry and did use those. She does have those tools, but that's not where she gets most of her power. Shaylin gets her power from the dark arts. She's on the dark side. And when she so to me, things like setting boundaries, so like lying and withdrawing, I would say those are dark side powers that you're using.
Sure.
Light side powers are more like setting boundaries, problem solving, arguing, saying what you want, being explicit and direct and above board. Shaylin gets a lot of her strength now from the dark side. So she does things like not setting boundaries, asking questions that make no sense, pretending to be confused,
Yeah, but like
sobbing loudly from the other room.
Yeah, I agree, but like,
Okay.
sure. But
she's not trying to figure out she's not trying to figure out what you're just assuming this like extremely well-intentioned like goal of hers, but she doesn't.
I'm not saying that there's like this intentional, like something that she said. So this is why I think that she is doing this. Is she made a statement when you guys were talking, saying that like, she feels like she has to do this. She feels like she has to make a decision, and you're like, and you don't know like why. Why do you feel that way? Like it seems like you're asking her that. Like, what do you mean you have to do this? What do you think she means when she's saying that? Like, it feels like I have to do this. And you're like, no, you don't.
I think she is saying, in order to maintain the image that I want on your channel and with your fans.
No, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you think that, then there's like, because I'm interpreting everything both of you are saying in like the best light possible. But if you think she's just saying,
I know, no, you're interpreting everything she says in the best light possible.
No, both of you. This would be a way different conversation if I was not being charitable to you as well. Okay.
She's a demon.
I mean, you're pretty demonic as well. If I was to interpret you, absolutely.
I don't think so.
Absolutely, no. For sure.
I'm an angel. No,
You're very charismatic. You have a really good way of spinning every single emotional complaint she makes into a hypothetical attack against you that then becomes an attack that you can use against her. And you constantly undermine her feelings by either saying that she doesn't truly believe the things she does for the reasons that she says she does, or that she's just using it to like control you. And then when she has an emotional outburst, you also assume that that's a form of manipulation, and then you manipulate her by pretending she's manipulating you. And then you bring it all back at the end with like either a hug or something else, like, oh, look, we're good, it's cool, or whatever, right? These are all like theoretically, if I frame it that way, these are all theoretically like emotionally manipulative.
I guess, but it doesn't make any sense. Like you can do that, but it doesn't make any sense because she agreed to the plan immediately.
No, but that's
without
like,
complaint.
Do you understand? This is why I don't like conversation about rape. Okay, it's so easy to get people to do things that they don't want to do that they will agree to it. This is why I don't like the concept of like consent or even enthusiastic consent. There are so many things that you can get people to agree to without them.
I agree with you. I agree with you there.
Yeah. So like,
but in this conversation, the conversation did not break down when I asked her the question. The conversation broke down when I would not let go of calling her controlling.
But her method of controlling was her trying to get some control over like her emotions in that situation and how you were engaging with them. That was where the control was coming from.
And the way she was trying to get control over that was by asking nonsensical questions.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if somebody is looking for, if we can, like,
but that's my whole problem.
Sure, but like, let's say instead we take a more impressionistic view of language. And not like a discrete, like these are the words you're saying. It sounds like what she's saying there. She's not saying like, can we figure out the dates of the month that this would be the most adequate time for you to free use my body? What she's doing is like, saying like, hey, okay, I think I can do this, but I feel like really emotional right now, and I want some sort of like emotional reassurance from you that we're like on the same page. That's what she's looking for. Yeah,
I know. We both understand that.
Then why can't you just do that or give that to her?
Because I don't fucking want to. That's the whole thing I'm saying in the first place is I don't want to change my entire lens for looking at language to an impressionistic one so that I can squeeze some extra fucking charity juice out of myself to make it okay for you to underhandedly try to get me to reassure you or get it is absolutely underhanded. It is absolutely underhanded to ask a fake question to get somebody to take care of you. I think it is completely underhanded, at least for me. Okay, so maybe
if I go to like a doctor, if I go to like a doctor, if I've got a thing coming up, right, and I'm sitting there and I ask something and I'm like, is this gonna hurt? What a fucking stupid question. Like, like if you were a doctor, you would look at me and you would go, this is a fucking cancer biopsy, Steven. Is it gonna hurt? If I say yes, you're gonna fucking cancel the operation? You stupid fuck. Why would you even ask me? Such a waste of fucking time, right? That's your response. And I would say, okay, well, I was just like looking for a little bit of emotional reassurance. I'm sorry, right? That would be the issue.
I understand how to do what you're asking me to do.
Yeah, sure. You just are unwilling to.
I don't want to. I don't want to take care of Shaylin. I don't want to be her fucking doctor. I want to fuck her corpse. I don't want to be her doctor. The whole point of the conversation is I don't want to have to lie to you or manage you. I don't want to manage your feelings in this conversation. I don't want to manage them. One thing I've been saying to her a lot is when you want me to parent you, I need you to explicitly ask me to parent you. I don't want you to try to get me to.
Yeah,
I
but
don't want
even
you to
at that, you need
manipulate
to
me
use
into it.
different words because nobody wants to feel like she's not really asking you to parent you. She's just asking for some
She
help.
is. No, it's
from
fine.
your perspective. But from
and
other
so-
people's
and-
perspectives, they're gonna say, "I just want you to be a normal, caring partner that's like has an investment in my
no,
feelings."
Fuck that. No. So I don't want appeals to normality. See, this is what I see in a lot of responses to this. I see people just being like, well, why can't you just be normal? And like, well, okay, being normal means the man just parents the woman. That's what you mean by normal. That's what the default is. And I don't want that. I don't want that for my relationship.
The reason why that's great. And I've said the exact same things to Melina. She'll say like, hey, like this is like a normal thing. Why can't you do this? And I'll say, well, if you want a normal thing, go find a normal guy because that's not what the fuck I'm here for. So I understand. I can empathize with you there. But you have to be aware of where the normal spectrum lies so that you can understand when you're making requests that are way outside the norm.
I understand that I am making a request that is outside the norm. And when I say, when my girlfriend wants me to become her dad, she has to actually know that that's what she is doing and say that. And
But
so if
that's
she had
such a
said in the conversation, if she had said in the conversation, hey, can you take care of me for a second? I feel freaked out about this. I might have said yes. Or I might have said no. I would have been free to say no or yes, as I see fit. I would have been able to set my own boundaries. But by blurring her request and by saying, no, you've already agreed to this. You've already agreed to take care of me. And the way I'm going to ask you is by asking stupid questions that make no sense and sobbing in the other room. No. Then I don't want to. I need explicitness.
Sure, I understand. I think that the realization that you have to have then is that what you're looking for, one, she might not be able to even rise to that standard. I don't even want to say
But
rise.
she did.
No, she didn't.
But she eventually did.
After crying in another room and
Yes.
trying to manipulate you a million times.
Yes, if you want to, yes, she did a lot of horrible things that nobody's proud of in that conversation. But at the end of the conversation, I held my boundaries. I didn't rush to the other room and say, hey, eventually, she, was naked face down on the bed, just like I asked.
But I don't. If you were to ask her, does she think that there was a positive resolution to everything? Do you think she would say yes?
No, because I got what I want. I don't know what she would say.
Is there? Well, but isn't that like
feel so
important? If you're
no, I'm so happy that I don't know what she would say. I feel so proud of myself that I can have my own narrative of what happened that is not dependent on hers, and she can have her own narrative.
Okay.
That's what I want. What I want is to just like have something be for me.
Sure.
And the only way we can do that is if Shaylin delineates when something is for her. So she has to be more explicit about when something is for her and what role she wants me to play and what role she wants to play. And the more vague she is, the more power the underhanded person gets and the less power the explicit person gets. I don't want her to derive power from being vague. It's a super bad idea, especially around sex.
I
But in
agree
general,
that it's a bad idea, but the problem isn't that she's like intentionally trying to manipulate
you think she's not capable of anything? Well, she's gonna have.
Not right now. No, I don't think so. I think that there's like a set of tools that she hasn't developed yet when it comes to establishing boundaries, and because of that, you're able to take advantage of her inability to do that. I think that's the issue.
Oh, you think she's taking advantage of me?
No, because in this situation, you said you got what you wanted at the end, so she wasn't here.
Yeah, after hours of what I think is abusive and coercive behavior, eventually she was able to have a explicit, direct conversation with me. Now, I'm not saying she has to be perfect. I am okay with her reaching for these dark side tools and me having to say like, hey, I need you to stop doing that. And I'm okay with people thinking I'm a bad person. Well, I would rather they didn't, but I can withstand people thinking I'm a bad person or that I'm an abuser because I don't want to engage with somebody using these manipulation tactics on me. But eventually, if I hold my ground long enough, eventually
she'll break down and she'll lose the ability to advocate for her own interests and she'll acquiesce to whatever your demands are. Does that sound a little bit not good?
No, because my demand is just that she come up with an answer. I'm not asking her to acquiesce to my sex demands.
But that's what it feels like to her. That's why she's saying.
No, it's not. That's where you're wrong about.
But she was
Shaylin.
literally saying, she's saying, you're pressuring me, and you're like, how am I pressuring you? She says you're trying to pressure me into doing what you want me to do. That's what she's saying. I wrote the quote down. But you're not really, right? You're not. You said you'd be happy with either answer, but she doesn't feel that way. That's the issue.
I understand. Right? I get what you're saying. When she says that, it's not true. Okay. It's just not true.
So she doesn't feel pressured at all. She's lying about that.
She may think she feels pressured. But,
okay, so she's lying to herself.
But if you look at her behavior through the conversation, the thing that makes her freak out is me saying, I think you're being controlling. I think you're being abusive, and I need you to be explicit about what you are saying. I need you to either explicitly say yes, explicitly say no, explicitly say you want to have this conversation, explicitly say you don't want to have this conversation.
Why do you think she's...
I even went as far as telling her exactly what she could say word for word to get out of the conversation.
Sure. When you said that she was upset, and that because you said that she was being controlling and abusive, why did that make her more upset? Why did she get really upset about that?
Because I'm taking her power away. When you call an abusive person abusive, you are demanding a transfer of power.
Yeah, let's
from them to
rephrase
you.
that a little bit more. Okay, taking the power. So you're making her feel powerless in this interaction, right?
Yeah, because a lot of
somebody claims that you're
pressuring
them, and now you are depriving them of any power or agency in interaction. Of course.
No. I can understand that could be her feeling. If the only way
that's all that matters at the end of the day is how she feels.
If the only way you can express yourself is by throwing dishes at Melina, and then Melina says, "Stop throwing dishes at me," you may feel, "Oh, well, now you've rendered me entirely powerless because I can't talk about my feelings, I can't set boundaries, I can't negotiate with you, I can't be direct. All I have is this like plate of like spaghetti I was about to throw at you." Like, yes, I guess in a way she would be telling you have no power, but I think that's not a fair interpretation.
Yeah, but imagine if throwing dishes was the only tool that I had. Now it's a little. It sounds like a weird example.
Then
but like,
here's a question.
Sure. Here's a question. Let's say the only way I could get anything done is by screaming at people, right?
Yeah, and so eventually you may run into a partner who says like, I need you to stop screaming at me. And if that's the only way you have of advocating for yourself.
But if we have a
you're not going to be able to advocate for yourself.
If you have a literal baby and all they know is to scream, you work
Shaylin
around that,
is
right?
not my child.
She's
not my
not,
patient.
but if she doesn't have the tools necessary to firmly establish a boundary and then talk around it, then all you're kind of doing is like taking away the only bit, like you're duct taping a baby's mouth shut and saying, figure out another way to do this.
I'm not duct taping a baby's mouth shut by asking my adult girlfriend to learn how to set boundaries like a fucking normal.
If you want her to learn how to set boundaries, then you don't figure that out in the middle of a negotiation about things that the boundaries would be about.
So what are you suggesting I do? I say like, you're asking me to drop my boundaries, and I don't want to.
I'm saying send her to
Absolutely.
therapy or something. Say go to therapy.
Okay, but in the meantime, yes, we're starting couples therapy.
Cool.
In the meantime, you're suggesting I just drop my. I'm saying she was breaking my boundaries in the conversation repeatedly. That every time we hit a snag, it's because I'm saying I don't want to communicate this way, and I won't.
You can't aggressively assert a boundary like that and say that my boundary is that when we're discussing something that I want, you're not allowed to obfuscate with questions. That's not a boundary. You have like a force field that's going into their brain. Okay.
No. That's not the boundary. She can do that, but I am going to then derail the conversation and only talk about it until she stops. So I'm saying I won't participate in the conversation. I won't participate in a conversation where you're saying, I don't know if I want to be talking about this. I'm not sure. That is going to break the negotiation then stopped. There was no more talk about sex after that. Then the only conversation we can have is, well, are you in the conversation or are you out? Or are you making a power play by having one foot out the door? And if it's that one, that's all we're going to talk about for the rest of the conversation. I refuse to budge. Wait, stop. You agree? You admit that this is me setting a boundary. I'm not reaching into her brain. I'm just saying I am going to flail and not fucking move an inch until you stop doing it.
It feels like you're the one that's more emotionally composed than the other in this situation, and the other person is flailing. And every time they're trying to they're like sliding off a mountain, trying to grab a ledge, and every time they grab something, you're like, that's abuse, that's controlling, you're gaslighting. And it's like the other person isn't trying to do that; they're just trying to get their footing somewhere.
That's how all abusers feel.
She's not the abuser in this interaction. You're the one making the ask.
she is the abuser.
I think that you're the one making the ask for something that's making her uncomfortable for some reason, and you have to figure out why.
Abusers, okay, having been abusive in various interactions, I know what it feels like when you resort to an abusive tactic.
Sure.
I've been abusive with Shaylin recently. Like, I've screamed at Shaylin.
But
I know that when I'm doing that, I feel like I'm sliding down a mountain and grabbing on to whatever I can.
I think that
but
there's
that
a
doesn't
difference.
Mean it doesn't make it not abuse.
I think there's a difference between an abusive tactic that somebody uses to get control of themselves or to feel like they have presence in a situation versus an abusive tactic somebody might use to get something out of somebody else, right?
I don't know if that's true. I think, in my experience, every time I've never screamed at a girlfriend to try to make them do something. I'm always screaming at them to try to get some semblance of control. It's out of fucking panic. It's not out of like, you better fucking lie still for me, you little bitch. That's not the emotion I'm feeling.
Let's say Melina really wants to get dinner at a place. Okay, I really want to go to Fogo de Chao. I'm like, Melina, we're not going to Fogo de Chao. I don't feel like spending $200 on dinner. And then she starts sobbing and crying. Okay. This is a little bit abusive. What the fuck, dude? Are you serious? We're gonna do this, right? Okay. Let's say that it's a different relationship and I beat the shit out of her every time I lose a game of League. Okay. So she's getting beat up a lot. Okay. Let's say that one day I come walking out of my room and I look like I've been playing League, but I haven't. I've been playing a different game. So I'm not a miserable fuck. But she sees me, and as soon as she sees me, she starts like crying to get me to feel bad. Like, is she technically being abusive there by trying to manipulate me with her emotions? A little bit, but it's way different than the Fogo de Chao thing, right? Like, there's a difference between being reactive in terms of how you're retreating in a conversation in an underhanded manner versus like proactively trying to get something, elicit something, extract something from somebody else. I think these are fundamentally different. And to call all of it abusive, I think misses the point of what's actually happening. We're missing what's going on in the interaction. Like, if Shaylin were to come to you and she were to be like, hey, like, I really want to peg you tomorrow. And you're like, I don't know. And she's like, okay, this is bullshit. Like, you're not hearing me. I don't feel seen. And you're like, well, you know. She's like, no, I don't know. Right?
I would never react that way.
That's great. Hold on. I don't care how you would react. But I'm just saying, in that case, if she was using the same tactics, but she was making the big ask, then I'd say like, okay, yeah, this is like pretty shitty or abusive. I could see that.
Okay, but that's not what happened though. The analogy would be if I said, yes, you can peg me tomorrow. I just want to ask you though, what time tomorrow? And she's like, well, it's not, I'm just trying to ask you if I can peg you tomorrow. And I'm like, well, what time would it be at? And I get this like very frantic, like, I just want to know what time. Is it too much to ask to just know what time it's going to be tomorrow? Then she's like, well, I feel like you're kind of making this about you now, where you're acting as though you're really concerned about what time it's going to be, as if that's like, would it make a difference what time it was? And I'm like, no, it wouldn't make a difference. And she's like, okay, well then I feel like you're kind of being controlling by asking this. And I'm like, how is this controlling? And then I run to the other room and start crying. That would be the analogy. You keep acting like she said she wasn't sure, but she did not freak out until I said.
She doesn't seem to be sure. She might not have said she wasn't sure, but all of her emotional languages, all of her body language and nonverbal cues are like saying a different story, right?
I think you have a highly charitable read of her body language, and that you think she's unsure about the sex, and I think she's unsure about saying things are okay, making agreements, sticking to things. Losing the power of ambiguity and vagueness. Losing the power of being able to say retroactively, you know what, I wasn't okay with any of this. Wow. I retroactively do not consent to everything that you and I just did, and therefore you're the abuser. Which is the entire thing I'm trying to get away from, this feeling of never knowing if the rug of me being allowed to do what I'm doing is going to be pulled out from underneath me.
Okay.
She gets a lot of power from having her hands on that rug.
I need to moderate a conversation between you and her. Okay, I'm so curious what it would look like.
I know. So when you see her waffling, like, I don't know if I want to do the sex act, I see her hands reaching for the edge of that rug. She's getting it nice and taut, and she's getting ready to yank it. And so I'm doing everything I can to prevent her from doing that. I'm like, I'm like, okay, if you don't want to be if you don't want to be in the video, then walk away. You don't have to be in the video.
If I'm negotiating a sex act with somebody and they feel like they're on the other end of it, or they're waffling, I would just interpret that as like a no. Like if you're uncomfortable, then clearly something.
She didn't waffle about the sex act.
But she was asking all these questions about it and everything, which makes it
That's
seem
not
like...
waffle. I know. Again, you interpret that as waffling. I interpret. If just look at it from my point of view, it's fine if you don't agree with me.
Okay.
But do you see how if I feel like Shaylin is preparing the following power moves, I never really agreed to this. I never agreed to this conversation. You sprung this conversation on me. You won't tell me the details of what happened, and any one of these can be used to pull the rug out from underneath me and say, basically you raped me.
I mean, what it sounds like to me is what she's saying is that like I love you. I want to make you happy. I do want to do the sex act. I just want to make sure this other shit is like taken care of so that I'm like emotionally.
She's the devil, and you just don't see it. If you saw it the way I see it, can you see how in that conversation then, every time I see her reaching for the rug, I'm just trying to keep her hands off it. I'm saying, if you don't want to be in the conversation, then just walk out. If you don't want to do this sex thing with...
Yeah, but she doesn't want to do that because she loves you.
If you don't want to do the sex thing with me, then just say no. If you want to talk about it more later, then say, let's talk about this later. What else can we talk about? If you want to walk out of the room, walk out of the room. You have all the power as long as you do it explicitly. But what you can't do is be passive and vague and then pull the rug out from underneath me and say that I forced you to do something. That's the only thing I'm trying to prevent her from doing in the entire conversation, and I think I did a pretty good job.
Okay. Well, when are we getting Shaylin on here, Max?
I think I have to protect her from the masses.
Well, why do you put her in her videos?
Because I'm a bad person. No, because I think it's different. Because in a video, I can control what happens. I can edit it. I can.
It feels weird that like because both of us right now have a different interpretation of her internal emotional state. And
yes. Well, Shaylin's not the best at interpreting her emotional state anyway.
No, but I feel like
Shaylin
Shaylin would have an interesting perspective on Shaylin's internal emotional state. You know, worth considering.
She would,
maybe.
but that's I am going to protect her from live streaming.
Okay. Gotcha. Well.
Also, even if she comes on and agrees with me, it's not. You're not gonna be like, I stand corrected. You're just gonna say like, oh, well, I guess he got to you.
No, I would be super interested. There are tons of things that she could say that would dramatically change the way that I view the situation. That's absolutely possible. Like she might say, like she could come on and she could say, I have a lot of personal problems sometimes setting boundaries. Like I have no problem doing things with Max. Sometimes I get nervous and I just like ask like stupid fucking questions that don't matter like in a week anyway, and then when we get around to things like none of it ever mattered, but I don't know why I just have a habit of doing dumb shit. Like if she said some shit like, okay, maybe yeah, I do dumb shit. Like I give really good advice on my stream and I follow none of it. Okay, I have a whole bunch of problems in my relationships where I just do dumb shit. So like I could believe that like people fuck up and do things. She could also say other things though that would reinforce my view, where she's like, I don't actually like any of these sex acts at all, but like I super love Max, and I feel like when he talks to me, like he's always on the verge of getting super pissed off at me. That like anytime I try to get any clarification on anything ever, he gets really mad. So I feel like I have to talk around it just to get like some emotional reassurance because I can't ask for it directly or talk about the act directly, and then that leads to him getting like she could say that and I'd be like, okay.
But she would be so stupid if she said. I mean,
no, she wouldn't be. She would just be expressing her emotions, like.
But that would be so stupid because I'm literally telling her if you just say explicitly what you're feeling or what you want, then we'll be fine.
Yeah, but
the thing
it doesn't.
I'm being mad
people
about is that you're being underhanded.
People aren't computers. You don't input code and get out a reliable response every single time, right? We work on way more abstract levels than that. Most people do. It's the more human thing to do.
I think you're too charitable to women.
It's not to women. It's to people. I do this dumb shit.
I think you're too charitable to women.
How? Why?
See, people keep saying it's because you're a coomer or it's because you're trying to fuck Brittany Simon or something. I think that's stupid. Obviously, I don't think you're trying to fuck Brittany Simon.
Okay.
I just think you're too charitable to women.
I'm charitable to everybody. I'm being very charitable to you in this conversation.
Yeah, but you're not being too charitable to me.
I'm being very charitable to you. If I wanted to, I could have a Vosh conversation with you where I just call you an abuser and hang up.
But is that what you think?
There's a chance you could be, but I'm not leading into that as much.
Wait, but what do you think? What do you actually think?
I think I've told you what. I think that what's the nicest way I could say this? I think that some people have.
No, I don't want you to say it in the nicest way. I want to know what you actually think. Like,
Sure.
what are you gonna?
I think
what are
that
you
some
muttering
people are
nonsense?
charismatic and they know how much they can get or push other people into agreeing with, and that some people, I think that some people can unhealthily thrive in the ambiguity of other people's personal boundaries. I used to do this in my early 20s. If I knew that somebody was waffling on something, I can always put a foot in there and force you into a position. Very, very, very easy to do that. I don't do this anymore, but I understand that feeling of like, if you're undecided, I will make the decision for you, and I know I can do that. And that's a thing that people do. And when I watch you and Shaylin interact sometimes, Shaylin's boundaries and borders seem very, very ill-defined sometimes. And you can very much like step a foot in and go, this is where your boundary is going to be. If you don't like it, tell me that you fucking hate me. You don't hate me? You do love me, right? This is your boundary. Stop being stupid. Boom, boom, boom. That's the feeling that I get when I watch you do it.
I feel like you're conflating two things.
Go
you're
for it.
conflating me saying what her boundary should be with me telling her she has to have one. If I was trying to just talk her into having doll sex with me once a month, when she asks what day of the month how we're counting it, wouldn't I just say, well, however you want to count it?
When you,
like if I'm trying to get the goal, if that's my goal, wouldn't I
Sure.
just say,
There's like-
yeah, let's do it by calendar month?
Yeah, but you won't say that because you feel like she's playing a game and you don't want to play it, right?
Okay, so then the thing I'm trying to get her to do is be explicit and set.
Yeah, but here's what I'm not
specific-
sure because of the power dynamics of the relationship. Because I don't know. I don't see enough, right? This is why I'm honest. I don't go into like, oh, I know
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
because I don't know.
yeah.
I really. But it could be the case that, and I don't know your history.
Yeah.
Maybe she's asserted a certain boundary in the past that's really angered you, and maybe she actually does super love you or is infatuated with you or whatever, and she's worried that if she asserts a boundary that you don't like, you're going to react negatively. And that's where she says, like, you're pressuring me. Even though from your perspective, you're not pressuring her at all. I'm not trying to pressure you to say that. Just pick something,
And what do you?
whatever,
and,
right?
But what do you think? What do you? Or you're saying you don't know?
I can only give you, like, degrees of probability. Like, the wave function doesn't collapse
No,
until
well,
I
yeah,
talk
where
to
are you-
her.
where are
I
you-
just
where
told
are
you,
you
like,
at?
oh, in terms of what? Or which part?
I don't know. What's your? What do you think of me in this situation?
My thoughts don't crystallize until I get more information. It's hard to say.
Okay.
It looks kind of abusive, but I don't know. But I don't have enough information. You guys have been together for what, like 7 years or some shit? So
Okay. So I think you're too charitable to women.
okay, maybe.
And not in the sense of I think you are purposefully taking a charitable view of women. I'm saying I think your actual views of women are too charitable.
When you say charitable, what you really mean is like infantilizing or something, right? Or what do you mean by that?
I think the part where whenever you create a metaphor to compare my relationship to Shaylin is that she's like a baby or with duct tape over her mouth, or she's like a doctor's patient. I think that's kind of infantilizing. Not necessarily that you're infantilizing women, but that you just seem to take it for granted that like I should be parenting her. So I guess that's kind of infantilizing, but it's more like
Well, I guess when I see
it's like you don't want to just tell her like, well, fucking grow up.
yeah, there's like, I guess when I see a dynamic where one person appears to be far more aggressive and confident, the other person is a little bit more wavery, I tend to, if this is the totality of like a person's boundaries, like this, and they're like wavering like here, I'll instantly assume it's like all the way on the other end, because I'll grant that, because like it could be, and I don't want to force somebody to agree to something or do something where they're not 100% like with both feet in the water or whatever. So it looks charitable, I guess, but
Well, you're very charitable about the intentions of women.
not necessarily. What do you mean? I think we actually
Well,
both
I'm like,
agree on
I
her
make a whole
attention.
video.
Uh-huh.
Okay, we agree that Shaylin is manipulative and trying to get power, and
That's
in that
exactly what I was going to say.
interaction.
She is absolutely trying to get power. I just don't agree that that's always a bad thing. If somebody feels powerless in an interaction, I would expect them to try to get power. That makes sense. I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. And if somebody is constantly vying for power, then there's two possibilities. Either one, they're an abuser or a predator, and they're trying to gain an unhealthy power, or two, they feel powerless in an exchange, and they're trying to at least feel heard or seen.
I think those are the same. I think that's
They're
what abusers
totally different. Those are
I think that's exactly what abusers and predators are.
okay.
People who feel powerless, who cannot feel powerful via normal means, and so they resort to the dark arts.
I disagree, but
Manipulators. Well, I mean, if you could get all the same power by not being manipulative, why wouldn't you just do that?
Well, because you're talking about a fully fleshed out, fully matured person that's able to establish health. Like, this is, like, fucking probably less than, like, 2% of people on the planet are capable of, like, setting and respecting and having, like, super strong boundaries and doing that in the middle of disagreement. It's a really difficult skill to pick up. Like, you have to be very deliberate
well,
about it.
It's a spectrum.
Sure, and Shaylin is obviously pretty far down on that spectrum in the opposite way that she should be.
Yes. I guess I think the way you frame it enables her to stay there.
It's not
By
that
being
I'm
like,
enabling.
I should just pick up the slack instead of just being like, well, yeah, we're gonna have an impact. Anytime she says the only way I'll interact with you is in a way that you think is abusive.
Well, that's because
then like I'm
talking to
like,
you right now. I'm telling you.
Well,
all
why
things-
should I pick up the slack? Why aren't you saying?
Because you can't. Because I'm not talking to her. If I was talking to
should be
her,
proud of me.
if I was talking to her, my conversation would have nothing to do with your actions. My conversation with her would be like, hey, you need to figure out your boundaries way better. Before you engage in a conversation with Max, you need to figure out like what's okay and what's not okay. You need to be able to communicate with him in a language that he understands. You have to like, if you feel yourself getting emotionally dysregulated, pull back from the circumstance, take an hour and then come back. That would be my suggestions to her, right? But I'm not talking to her, I'm talking to you.
Not an hour of sobbing loudly, a silent hour.
Well, it depends on how upset she is, right?
I guess my problem is that you're asking me to enable her, and you're saying because you're saying it's bad to have conflict. Almost, it's like you're saying,
no, what?
Like I think you should be proud of me. I think you should be saying, wow, she really threw everything she could at you in a video. You know you're going to publish to the internet, so you know it's going to make you look terrible. She did every manipulation and tactic that you were calling her out on, and you still didn't give in. You didn't break, Max. You were strong. You did something today for men all across the world, and just people, but especially men. You did not cave. You did not say, oh, okay, if you want me to parent you, you need me to parent you, but you won't say it. Fine, I'll be your daddy. I'll just be your default, emotional regulator and processor whenever you need me to be. You didn't do that, Max. You didn't give in. You held your ground. That's great. Allow there to be an impact. Allow her. So what if she has to run out of the room screaming? Let her do that. What's important is that you held your boundaries. You're not saying that. You're saying like, oh, you should have dropped it. Did you see how much she was crying, Max? Did you see how loud she was sobbing? You should have dropped your boundaries. Lower your standards so that Shaylin meets them whenever she's gonna freak out. That's why she's freaking out, because she wants me to. I literally said to her, when she was crying, I said, you're still trying to pressure me into doing what you want me to do, and she said yes.
Okay,
I should get a fucking medal.
Okay, here's like my question, okay? Or let me give you a scenario. I'm just curious, okay? We'll say I'm on Tinder, talking to a girl. We agree.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come over at 9 o'clock. We're gonna have sex at 9:05. We talk about it. That's the agreement. It's been like, yeah, come over. We'll chat for 5 minutes. We're gonna have sex at 9:05. You're gonna be gone by 9:30, 10 o'clock, whatever. It's like, okay, cool, got it, boom. Let's say that I drive over there. I arrive 8:58. Okay, get up the door, open it. We get inside and we start chatting for a bit, and we both get naked. Let's say that she's sitting on the bed and it's 9:05. Okay, and let's say that she seems like a little bit nervous or fidgety, and she's like, hey, do you think we can chat for like 5 or 10 more minutes? Like, what is your response in that scenario?
Either yes or no.
Do you ever bring up the fact that like, hey, you already agreed to this at 9:05? Like, why are you changing it? Why do you want to chat for? What are 5 or 10 more minutes of talking going to change?
Maybe if I felt like she's saying like, I feel weird about you, or I feel uncomfortable with you. If that made me uncomfortable, I might say why. Yeah, I could ask that.
And then what if she doesn't have a good answer? She's like, well, I want to chat for like 5 or 10 more minutes. Is that okay? I guess like what the point that I'm getting at is it seems like people aren't always great at expressing themselves. I don't think you're necessarily treating them like a retarded child to say like, hey, well, let's figure out like what's going on, right? I think it's okay to try to take a step back and figure out like, well, emotionally, it seems like something is incongruent with you. Yeah.
but I don't have to have sex with her. That's what I'm saying. It's like I'm okay with showing up.
You literally started off this video with Shaylin though by saying you have to have sex with me, right? Like,
well, I didn't mean right now. I mean eventually we have to have
sure,
sex.
but it's the same thing, right? Like you're saying
no,
that,
it's
like,
not the same thing. Showing up at somebody's house on a Tinder date on a one-off one-night stand is not the same thing as being in a long-term
no, but what I'm saying is that, like,
relationship
Shaylin,
with somebody.
Yeah, Shaylin feels like there's a non-negotiable kind of on the table that she's trying to like.
There
talk
is.
about, right?
We have to have sex. Eventually, we have to have sex. That's a fact of romantic relationships. If you don't, then your relationship is no longer romantic, or you break up. But in order to have an ongoing sexual relationship, you have to have sex.
Sure, I agree with
eventually.
That. Yeah, of course. Okay. We were both.
Okay, so that's all true. I was saying. I was saying, like,
sure, but the framing of it that way, and then like the pushing.
Well, I think it's important to acknowledge, like, that she feels raped just by the virtue of being in a relationship.
Does she
I think we both do.
I don't know if she.
No, I was saying that. I was saying I think we both should acknowledge that there's an unfortunate thing about being like freaked out by sex and being in a relationship is that we are forced to have sex with each other eventually.
Well, you're not forced to because you could also just end the relationship, right?
Yes, I think that was implied. Yeah, obviously you can leave, but I'm saying if you're with me, you have to have sex with me.
Isn't that kind of a manipulative tactic, or no? Like, we have to do this or the relationship ends? Don't people use that sometimes to manipulate each other, or?
No, I wasn't saying we have to have sex in this way. Or
well, but we have to.
Way.
Sure, okay, all right. Is there anything else you want to go over, or go for it?
The implication of the Tinder story is that you're just not okay with things being derailed. And I think that you lose a lot of power if you're not okay. Like Trump says, the biggest power is the power to walk away. And like if you don't like the questions the person's asking, you don't like what they're saying, then like, yeah, I don't have to have sex with this person just because I said I would. I can have an impasse with them. I can say, oh, you know what? The way you're saying you want to talk for 5 minutes makes me think that you're just another one of these controlling women who's going to string me along until you decide you want to have sex. What's the whole point of setting a time if you're going to tell me that you're going to just change the time? Like, no, I prepared myself for this. So if you don't want to have sex now, then we're not having sex. I think that's a perfectly reasonable thing for me to say.
Okay.
The classic Destiny okay.
I mean, I disagree with you, but I'm done fighting over you.
I know.
But
I know what it means.
Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so.
I'm supposed to moderate a conversation between you and Eurydite. Is that happening?
Yeah. I said it felt a little too similar. Yeah, speaking of women you're too charitable toward. I said it felt a little too similar to the Britney conversation, so I feel like we should wait a little bit. But yeah, right? Do you want it? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. You were very uncharitable towards her. Holy shit. So yeah, I think it'd be.
You're too
but
charitable.
I'm too charitable.
You're too charitable to women.
Well,
you gotta hold their feet to the fire, Steven.
Ich bin außer Reichweite.
I'll do a better job, okay?
I'm gonna help you with this. It's really gonna be, it'll look like a moderated conversation between me and Erudite, but it's really gonna be me doing an intervention with you, and I'm gonna show you how to hold a woman accountable for her actions.
Okay. I'm just there to moderate the conversation. She's a smart woman. She can talk for herself. Or maybe that's just me being charitable towards her. I don't know.
Yeah, I never said she wasn't smart. She's very smart. That's
in a demonic kind of way.
She's controlling.
What
when I say control, I mean underhanded. I'll start saying underhanded. I'm fine with Shaylin. You saw Shaylin get mad. Like she could be very controlling. Like when she's mad, that's fine. I don't mind her being controlling. It's underhanded.
I'm asking a question because I'm seeing this in chat. I don't know if this is true or not. People are making up lies. Maybe somebody said Mr. Girl literally doesn't allow Shaylin to have a cell phone or use the internet without Mr. Girl's consent. Is that true? Max.
Are you really asking me that?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, I want you to decide if you're actually asking me that.
I could see Max answering either way. I could see you saying on one hand, obviously she has a cell phone and access to the internet. It would be crazy for her not to. That would actually be insane for me to limit that. And then on the other hand, I could see you saying, I've been doing the online content world for quite a while. I don't think Shaylin could handle what she sees on the internet. I don't know if she has the responsibility to manage herself.
That's right. She has to be protected from the outside
she has to be
world.
protected from the crazy people online.
From her friends, from her family, her therapist.
Okay.
She can't talk to anybody.
So she at least has a limited cell phone plan. That's what we're saying.
Yes, you can call me.
Okay. McAfee free antivirus. Way to go, dipshit. That was the guy in chat that said that.
Okay, so it feels like you're saying that you're willing to believe all kinds of things about me. How would I restrict her from having a phone? It's not fucking Saudi Arabia.
I have no idea.
How would I stop?
How would you post videos of her online when she's saying, I don't want this posted online? I don't fucking know. I don't know.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know what your relationship is like. My ability to judge character comes from the fact that I'm willing to reserve judgment until I've seen a lot of shit. A lot of people will make snap judgments about people, but I keep an open mind. There's a lot of things that you could be, but I'm not going to be charitable and say, well, I think Max is a great person. I don't think he's ever been, blah, blah. But I'm not going to be like an asshole and say like, oh, well, I think he does these horrible things. But there's like,
but Brittany Simon and Not So Erudite and Shaylin of all fucking people, you're willing to say. Shaylin is the one who doesn't let me.
Here, wait, hold on. Let me be very clear. Here's what I say about you, Brittany, Erudite. Okay, what I say is you guys are very interesting. I enjoy my conversations with you.
I know what you say.
That's what I say. I don't sign off on any of you.
I know what you say.
I don't sign off on any of you as human beings. I just say that you guys are really interesting. I like talking to you. That's my fun part.
Not signing off on me as a human being is different from leaving the door open that maybe I don't allow my girlfriend to have a phone.
Why would I? Do you think that I have enough information to 100% or 95% make a statement in those regards?
I think you have enough information. I don't know how good you are at synthesizing that information. Are you saying you're a bad judge of character?
No, I think a really good judge of character.
One of those reasons is
because I'm willing to reserve judgment until I've seen a lot. Until then, I give
you're
everybody
a good judge of
character.
You're a good judge of character by not even being a judge of character.
Exactly. Because anybody that thinks that they can come to 100% conclusive things about a person's personality or character with a few online conversations, I've never met you in real life, is fucking delusional. I'm too old for that. I've been in real life too long for that. And anybody that says otherwise is lying to themselves or lying to everybody else. Absolutely.
Do you think you're good at knowing when people are lying to you?
It's going to depend on the topic.
Interpersonally?
I think generally, but it's going to depend on it. That's going to be so context dependent. But generally,
I think when people say good judge of character, I'm angry. I'm angry at you. I'm angry that you're asking me. I'm angry that you're.
Yeah, I'm Lauren Southering you, where you're like, do you really think I like kids? Is that what's happening right now? That's what you're. Yeah, go for it.
No, because you're not lying.
No, I'm not.
So that's not. You're not Lauren Southering me. Lauren Southern was lying.
Oh,
you're not lying.
Okay.
I'm angry that you genuinely don't know if I allow my girlfriend to have a phone.
Given the content of yours that I've consumed, and given the totality of your online presence.
The totality.
If it came out that that was the case, do you think that most reasonable people would be like, oh my god, Mr. Girl doesn't like his girlfriend like on someone's show? I had no, that's crazy. I would have never guessed that. I think the reaction would be like, yeah, you know, it's possible, right?
I don't think that's reasonable.
No. Okay, maybe. I think that with the character that I project online, not the character, my personality is relatively atypical in a lot of ways. If it came out that like I like murdered my girlfriend or something, or I don't know, I'm trying to think of something like this. I can understand. It might be frustrating to me because I feel misunderstood, but I understand a lot of people being like, yeah, no shit. Like he shouts at her on stream. He makes jokes about killing people all the time. Like he's
They're not
talking about killing
reasonable.
people. What?
That's not a reason. You said most reasonable people.
I can understand it. I think a reasonable person could be like, oh yeah, sure, yeah.
I think it's an unreasonable estimation of your character to think that you're going to kill your girlfriend or wife.
I mean, I would hope that most people think that, but like, depending on like what people see, the shades of you that you see online, the shades that are seen of you online, people's perceptions of that, and how normal people act versus how somebody like me, or even somebody like you might act. I think that there are a lot of possible actions that I could do that wouldn't surprise the internet.
I think that me saying, I need you to set clear boundaries with me and stand up for yourself and stop acting like a child does not translate in the mind of a reasonable person to, you're not allowed to have a phone.
That's not what, if that's
diametrically opposed.
I agree, but that first thing never happened. Whatever you just talked about was a fantasy in your mind. What you were doing is those statements that you were making coincided with you pushing aggressively for an action that she seemed to be on
when I wasn't insulting you. Holy fucking shit, are you?
To be able to have some sort of sexual interaction with her.
How did I push aggressively for that?
Because you literally said that at the end of a conversation where she was like sobbing for a few minutes in the other room, you still got that win. And then when I asked you further, like, how do you...
Wait, no, how...
And then you said you didn't care how she felt about it. You're like, oh, I don't care if she felt okay or not.
I know, I said I don't want to be my responsibility.
That's fine. But I'm just saying that, like,
how did I aggressively push for it?
I would argue that anytime you're trying to get a concession out of somebody that's highly emotional and you continue to push for that concession, it's a pretty aggressive action.
When did I even continue to push for the concession?
The fact that you would even still entertain the possibility of what you were going for once she's already gotten emotional and started crying.
Okay, so now we're saying that if I ask Shaylin for something and she starts crying and I still even allow her to consent, then I'm aggressively pushing for it.
Yes, I would say so.
Can we invent a new category for that is not lumped in with me saying, like, if I
don't think it's rape. I'm not saying anything like that. It's not like rape or anything.
I'm not saying it's rape. I'm not saying you're saying it's rape. I'm saying if I said, hey, wait a second, you're crying and I still haven't gotten my answer. I need you to do this for me. Remember, we're going to break up if we don't do this. I need this from you. You have to do this. Wouldn't that be aggressively pushing? Like, but you're saying that even allowing her to continue the conversation with me, this is why I'm saying that it's too...
But it's not even like allowing her to continue, right? She at a couple points she exited or wanted to exit the conversation, right? Like it's pretty aggressive.
I said, do you want to exit the conversation? You can exit the conversation whenever you want. I wasn't even aggressively pushing for that. The only thing I was pushing for is I need you to decide if you want to have the conversation. I need you to decide. I need you to be explicit about what you're saying. I never aggressively pushed her for any sex thing at all. All I did was ask her.
Okay. I understand your perspective because you feel like you're saying all the right words, but I guess there's a lot of emotional subtext that I would like. Here's like a thing. I'm asking you to read that. Yes, I am. Yes.
And so that is our central disagreement.
I understand, but if I meet a person, we've talked about fucking, we've figured all the boundaries, and I meet them in real life, and they seem a little bit iffy, and then maybe even we go to do it, like, wait, hold on, I need a moment, and they like start crying a little bit. Chances are we're not having sex at all that night. I don't care if they stop and they're like, okay, I think I think I'm okay now or whatever, like it's probably like, okay, let's just take a step back. But if you like, if you're like, okay, are you done crying now? Can we keep going? Can we, like, that feels a little bit aggressive to me.
That's not a fair analogy. I didn't say, are you done crying now? Can we keep going?
No, but kind of.
I said what I would say in that situation. What I said in that situation is I would say, I need you to figure out what's going on, and I need you to make up your mind.
But like, wouldn't the more
a wise man once said that if you need somebody else to figure out your sexual boundaries for you, you're acting like a retarded child.
For sure.
Where's the omni-liberal when I fucking need him?
If I told you, if I was having a conversation with Shaylin, my advice would be geared towards her, and I would be very critical of her actions. But I'm not talking to Shaylin.
But I want Shaylin to change.
That's great, but you can't change somebody that you're negotiating against. That's the issue, right?
Well, I want our dynamic to change, and
yeah,
so
but
all I
you
can
want
do
it
is
to change.
play the.
But you have to understand, on your end of the negotiation, you only care about Max. It's not your job to change her to better suit you. That's the issue.
Well, I want to change.
Do you?
Yes. Just not in the direction you seem to fucking want me to, but I want to change in the opposite direction. I want to be less the way you're telling me to be.
Well, okay, if that's the case, then what I would say, oh no, so you want to be even more aggressive, or not aggressive, but more whatever Max says.
I want to be more me. I want to be more me. I want to be more I want to advocate for myself better. I want to be me. I don't want to be a hybrid of me and Shaylin, and while Shaylin just gets to be Shaylin. I want to be me. I don't want to be her parent. I don't want to be a parent of everybody. I just want to be me, and I want to be able to advocate for my own interests. And you're saying that I have to be so tuned into her that if I detect any hesitation or discomfort, that I'm basically forcing it on her if I don't immediately like withdraw my request, as if she's a retarded child.
We should all treat each other like retarded children, Max.
You're not treating me like a retarded child.
Yeah, I am. That's not why I'm not screaming at you that you're an abuser. You're only upset because you're trying to push me to give a concrete declaration of your character. I don't really know you well enough to do that. I would never, like there are a ton of stories because of the type of person, and because of the type of person I am as well. There is a ton of stories that could be released about either of us, where any reasonable person could look at it and go, yeah, sure. Like if a story got released tomorrow, I like shooting. I just recently like trap shooting. It's a lot of fun. If a story got released tomorrow that Destiny was at a range and he said to the person next to you, wow, you're black just like your gun, and then they got into a scuffle and Destiny shot and killed him, I think a lot of people could read that and be like, you know what? I think Destiny could say some dumb shit like that. Now, personally, I would never say anything so stupid, and it would bother me even think.
I know that.
You don't know that. You don't know me well enough.
I do know that.
You don't know that. You're being too charitable to me. You're being too charitable to me. I'm telling you that.
No, I'm being too charitable maybe to my own judge of other people's characters.
Okay, some people do that. But I'm just saying that, like, there is some dumb shit that people could say about me that I think even somewhat... Book Smarts, we got into an issue where he was like, Destiny was in a restaurant and he said the N-word really loudly and there was, like, black people there or whatever. And it's like... And there were a lot of people around. I was like, yeah, Destiny, I guess he could say something. Like, he seems really crazy. It's like, no, what the fuck? No? But, like, I mean, given, like, how edgy I am online and everything, I could see, you know, it sucks, but I could see some people saying that. I'm just saying that, like, yeah, having, like, a really good judge of character, I don't know if I ever told you this. I think I have. My requirement for a good judge of character is that I've been through something where somebody is tested where they have to make a hard decision. One where they could either throw me under the bus, or one where they have to make a sacrifice to choose to do something, and then I see them choose otherwise. Because when it comes to streamers, 99% of the times, the choices that we make are not only the best for our careers and financially viable, they're also like the choices that end up being the things that work well in life. Like, people will be like, oh my god, like, it's so brave that this guy had a really difficult conversation with his mom on stream. I was like, yeah, I guess, but I also got paid a lot of money for it. I got a lot of hits on my YouTube for it. Like, that wasn't a hard decision, you know? Like, there's a lot of choices that people make that kind of seem hard, but they're always, like, super beneficial. This is my big criticism of, like, Hassan and Vosh. People are like, look at how committed they are to their causes. They did big fundraisers. Yeah, because they can show how much clout they have with a dollar amount. Yeah, because they get a ton of viewership doing it. These aren't hard choices to make. A hard choice would be donating $50,000 of your own cash. That would be a kind of a hard choice, right? But that's all I'm saying. I haven't been in a situation with you where I've seen you have to make a really difficult choice, because that's where I can divine somebody's character. Now I see what kind of person you are. It's not like a personal insult or anything. It's just like reality, right? In my opinion. So I don't think you're a horrible person or a bad person, but I don't know if you're a good person, because I'm honest.
I know.
Sure. Maybe someday we'll be in a
angers me.
situation. I'll wake up and you'll be standing up on me with a knife, and you'll say, I could have killed you in your sleep, and I didn't. And I'm like, you know what, Max? At the very least, I know that about you. Thank you, and I'll go back to sleep and hope you don't kill me.
And then when you wake up, you'll know I'm a good person.
Exactly.
I think not judging character is more like knowing that you're not a good judge of character. That's not being a good judge of character. That's
Sure.
just knowing that you shouldn't.
Okay. I understand a lot of people feel that way.
I don't even know what situation could be like that where I could.
That's why you never know until shit happens. You never know, huh?
All right. Well, send me the blackmail information about yourself, and then we can
and I'll
figure
see if
out.
you leak it. Okay.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
You think it's unreasonable that I'm mad at you about this?
I would say so, but I understand your anger because I'm empathetic. But if somebody told me, I don't know if I can trust you. Yeah, I get it.
Well,
like if Brittany or like Lauren or Nick or you or somebody was like, oh, like, I don't know if I can trust you 100%. Like, yeah, that's fair, 100%. Especially given my history, sure.
I don't know if I can trust you 100% is different from I don't know if you allow your girlfriend to have a phone.
I don't have any insight into your guys' relationship, and everything I've seen is like super like whoof. So I don't know. I just don't know. I wouldn't make a statement about it. I'm not sure. I'd be open to all possibilities.
I just want to clarify that's different from... I don't want you to reframe this that I'm angry that you said, I don't know if I can trust you 100%. That seems
sure,
like a
I understand.
reasonable
Here,
thing to
like,
say.
I would say that of all possible worlds, in the majority of those possible worlds, you would allow your girlfriend to have a cell phone. In over 65%, in over 75% of those worlds, you'd have your girlfriend have a cell phone. So there aren't that many where she wouldn't. So.
And what do you think is unreasonable about me being angry about that?
I think that you should understand that I don't have a lot of intimate penetration into your relationship and your personal life. I haven't seen it. So why would I take a strong stance on how you guys conduct yourselves privately? I just wouldn't know. Maybe she doesn't even like cell phone stuff that much. Or maybe she's like a more subservient kind of person. She's like, oh, if you like this, I'll do this, whatever. She's like very housewifey. I don't know. Maybe it's possible. I don't know that.
You've seen the kitchen.
Especially in the same conversation where you've told me, I don't let her talk to people online because I'm protecting her from the internet. That opened up like from all possible worlds from like 80%, then it went down to 75%. Now there's like more possible worlds where maybe Mac's like, you don't got a cell phone.
I didn't mean I don't let her. I meant I will not platform her talking to people.
If she reached out and she was like, I'm going to talk to Eurodite about our relationship.
Siehe den Ehrenfreund.
On stream. Would you be okay with that?
No, but I wouldn't physically stop her.
Would you like break up with her?
No.
Oh, okay.
I would say I don't want you to do that. I think you're interfering with my work and my art. And you know, make a fucking painting about it or something.
What if Chandler reached out to talk to me? Would you like that, or would you not be okay with that?
I'd be a lot more okay with that than Erudite, but I would talk to you on stream. If she wanted to talk to you privately, then I would be happy. I'd be happy with that. If she wanted to talk to you on stream, yeah, I would tell her not to do that.
Okay.
I would just say that you're undermining my voice. Like, this is my thing. Talk about me in another arena or way, but if you come into my like professional artistic sphere and start contradicting or even validating my narratives and my work, then you're I don't know.
That's super unfair.
It'd feel invasive.
Okay.
Why is that unfair?
Because you've made your relationship and your disagreements in your relationship part of your work. So it seems a little strange that you can have your voice fully represented there, but you're worried about her representing hers.
I'm worried about her representing hers in a way that undermines mine. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're undermining her, right? But that's okay. You're okay undermining her.
No, I'm not. I'm not undermining her. I'm painting a picture of her.
A really undermined one. You called her a demon.
Oh, it's only undermined assuming you think she disagrees with it. But
well, I imagine she probably doesn't see herself as a demon or demonic or manipulator or abuser. Like in that 30-minute
Well,
video,
you can imagine all you want,
okay,
but
maybe
that don't make it true.
Maybe she agrees. Maybe she
So
is.
Shaylin has a comic about our relationship
Mm-hmm.
that she draws, and she posts them on Twitter.
Okay.
Her Twitter is sheebyjeebies, if you guys want to look at it.
Okay.
I think it's 1E underscore and then JEEBIES. Or she's Ms. Boy on Twitter. Okay. But so she has a comic about her relationship, and like that's her thing. And so if her comic got really popular, and then I was like, well, I don't like how you're representing our relationship in your comic, so I'm gonna also make a comic, and then start drawing comics that contradict your comic. I think that would feel a little invasive. So I'm fine with her speaking publicly about our relationship. I just don't want her to do it in the same medium, in same way, and sort of use my megaphone to contradict me. Like the only reason you would talk to her, or Erida would talk to her, is because I'm a streamer. It's not because, you know, that's not her thing.
I got it. It's a really good rationalization, so I'll accept it.
Doesn't sound like it.
Braucht ihr etwas? Siehe den Ehrenfreund.
What's on the agenda for Max? You got anything fun coming up?
Just fighting with you.
Okay, cool. Fun.
Wait, I was trying to finish something.
Oh, sorry. You didn't want her to use your platform, your
megaphone.
Yeah.
You're saying that makes your stance more reasonable. I was gonna say.
Wait, I didn't say that. You might have assumed I thought that, but no.
Well, no, I was assuming that because you said you went from 80 to 75%. So you're saying that lowered your.
Well, the 80 to 75%. Oh yeah, it was the one. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
it lowered it. That was a hit to your faith in me.
Now that you've explained it, I'll go from 75 up to like 77%. Okay.
Okay, I got 2% back.
You got 2 points. Yeah.
Okay, so I think I understand people really well, really quickly, right?
Okay.
And you're saying we could be friends for 10 years, and then it could turn out that I'm like a mass child murderer, and you'd be like, well, you live and you learn.
Depends on what kind of friend we've been, yeah.
Right. So we're going to have a problem. We're already having a problem.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Of increasing discrepancy between how well I think I know you and how well you think you know me. And I'm also, I think, a more trusting person than you in general. So how much I trust you versus how much you trust me, there's going to be a gap.
Trust is a fundamentally different thing than how well do I know your character. Because there's very few things that I trust anybody with. So there's not like, if I trusted you 1,000,000% with everything in my life, more than anybody else, and I didn't trust you at all, period, like zero, there's very little difference in how I would treat you, because there's just not really much to trust anybody else with. Most of my private affairs are incredibly public, save for very, very, very few things, unless you wanted to like babysit Nathan or something. Like there's not very much like, yeah, that's just the kind of person I am. There's not much to trust you with. So whether or not I trust somebody is a fundamentally different question than, you know, how do I judge that person's character to be? They're not, yeah.
I guess maybe trust that I am representing myself to you in an accurate way.
Oh, so whether or not I believe you when you say things you tell
me.
Do
you trust? Do you feel like you can trust me to be me?
I don't believe anybody for that. No.
Right, and I do. So I think that there's a gap there. Obviously.
Maybe. That's not unsolvable. That's just a personal... Melina has never lied to me in her entire life, and I don't even trust her when she tells me how she feels sometimes. Not because I think she's lying to me, but because I'm maxing her.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's a solvable problem. I just want to point out that I think this has actually been happening ever since our first conversation.
Oh, so you're trying to control me and how I feel. Is that what you're doing right now, Max?
No, I'm just explaining that this could be something I get angry about on an ongoing basis.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not telling you have to do anything about it, or I'm not even saying it's a solvable problem. I'm just saying I think it's, maybe I shouldn't have said problem, conflict.
Okay. That's fair.
I'm sure I'm not the first person that you've had this with, and you're not the first person I've had it with. You also seem to get betrayed by other streamers on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah.
I haven't had Stardust or Chud Logic stab me in the back. So I'm... Or you.
I won't. Stardust won't. I don't know about Chud Logic.
Why not?
I don't think Chud Logic would ever stab anybody in the back, but he might play some shit up for content, maybe.
I could see him doing that, but that's okay.
But Chud actually seems pretty cool. Stardust seems really cool too. Those people both seem pretty decent. I'll give them my temporary character seal of approval, but anything could be possible. Okay.
Right. And do I have your temporary character seal of approval?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say so. I'm being highly charitable to you in all of our conversations. Unbelievable.
Seal of approval with an asterisk.
That's why I said it's a temporary seal of approval. That's what Stardust and Chud got too. Okay.
Yeah, but mine also says a charitable seal of approval.
Well, yeah, I do the same for Stardust and Chud Logic.
Oh, you think you're being highly charitable to them too?
I'm highly charitable to almost everybody. People don't think that for some reason because I fight with a lot of people, but like I'll talk with anybody, hear anybody out for anything. But if they start attacking me, then we'll fight, you know.
Does it make you mad that I'm mad at you?
No, I think you have good reason to be. I think it's pretty insulting when you feel like you've been pretty vulnerable with somebody and you've shown a great deal of your character and the other person still has some reservation about you or thinks something that you think to be inconceivable of yourself. I think it's pretty normal to feel upset about that.
But are you mad?
No, I understand you. Why would I be upset about it? I think it's reasonable.
Well, I understand you too. I'm mad because I understand you.
Okay, well.
I'm getting a neon sign made for my new hotline show, my call-in show.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
How much is it costing you?
I think it's going to be $600.
Ooh, not bad. Okay.
I recommend it.
For my background?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the most exciting thing. Then I'll go back to working on this pedophile groomer research video.
Gotcha. Should be fun.
Yeah, I want to get some. I want to get an FBI agent on my stream somehow, or an ex-FBI agent. I want to interview an FBI agent.
Oof. I've heard that for some divisions relating to children, you're like, as part of your job, you have to watch a lot of really fucked up shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to find one of those people.
Well, if you're ever tweeting looking for him, I'll give you a retweet, okay? It's part of my temporary character seal of approval. I'll amplify your voice, alright?
Alright. I'm gonna mail you a Save Shaylin shirt.
Okay. Medium.
Yeah.
Oh, I have your CD and your tape on my shelf over there. They're like the only two things on my shelf, so Feel special.
That's an honor. I do. I would like to add a Save Shaylin shirt to your collection. Do you want the black or the light blue? This is the black one.
What does the light blue one look like? Listen, I'm fashion challenged, so just do black. Goes with everything, okay?
Okay. All right.
All good. Oh, I'm getting merch soon.
Okay.
You have to model some of it for me, okay? Just need like 2 or 3 pictures. Okay, good.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Just let me know what merch.
Gotcha. Sounds good. Anything else?
Erudite.
Should be fun.
Yeah.
Good faith conversation between 2 good faith people.
Yeah. Exactly. That's right. I think that's it. Yeah.
All right. If there's anything, feel free to shoot me a DM.
Oh, you too.
Of course. Thanks for responding to me today.
My heart is always open.
Okay. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too.
Try not to be too aggressive to anybody. Okay.
Try not to be too charitable to anybody.
Yep. All right. I love you. Have fun. Bye.
Love you too. Bye.
All right. Good job, guys. Was that a difficult conversation? Nah, you just have to recognize the extent of like where the boundaries. It gets like kind of weird talking about like how does Shaylin feel about something, because honestly he has more experience with her, so he might know better than me, or he's missing something and then I know better than him, but neither of us can know for sure because she's not there for the conversation. So now call Brittany, then the roundup will be done. I don't know if there's anything for us to talk about relating to the conversation. Did you consider this a conversation where you kept the kid gloves on? No. When I Jesus. When I have if I have conversations with people, there are multiple paths that we can take through the conversation. Some of these paths end the conversation immediately, and then some we can go on a little bit longer. If I accuse him of being like an abuser, and I say that like, oh, like he's just a horrible evil person, like what do I get out of that? Like the conversation ends immediately and then we're done. Yeah. So I don't think it's ever worth it to just go hard, because like what do you get out of it? And then it's more interesting to hear more of his perspective, I guess, even if I disagree. So. Do you think Mr. Girl's intention not allowing his girlfriend to talk to you since he actually kidnapped her and is using her content? Good question. Probably not. Fuck off. The Not So Eurodite and Brittany Simon chat happened on Brittany's YouTube stream. Eurodite's Twitch stream was crashing. Interesting. How did that conversation go? I swing wildly between thinking you shouldn't be platforming Max and thinking he's incredibly interesting. I don't know what to think. I mean, all these people, all of the new cast of characters for our Destiny universe are interesting, at the very least. Thank God. Dude, one thing that I noticed compared to fucking Twitch is that Twitch is like a blob of mess of like everybody trying to be the same person and do the same thing, and it's so fucking annoying. And if one motherfucker hates you in that group, like Casey trying to recruit it, you're like axed from everything. It's like, how annoying. But like the whole Twitch universe is like one amalgamation of fucking toxic sludge garbage shit. It's so boring. Whereas on YouTube I noticed that there's way more like distinct communities of people that you can talk to that are all that are so interesting and unique and different. Whereas on Twitch it's like, oh, I really like Ludwig, who's friends with all of OTK, who's dating like Cutie. I like Mizkif, who's in OTK, who's friends with it. Like every single person is like connected. If you draw like a tree, it's like that circle where you connect every other fucking dot to every other fucking dot. It's so boring, and everybody's trying to suck each other off all the time on fucking Twitch, where everybody like, oh god, I can't say anything mean about Hassan. I can't say anything mean about XQC. Oh god, I can't say anything mean about Mizkif. And if anybody says anything mean ever, they're all like fucking chill. Like, oh god, we have to make amends, and here's the apology video, and look, Pokey and the other guy are eating lunch together, and everything's cool now. We're all gonna. It's like, oh my god, it's so fucking boring. Whereas like in the YouTube world, there's like all these different communities and characters that don't even know each other or have like no crossover at all. And I think that it's way more interesting.
Hello.
But way more interesting. So to a high school lunch table, yes. Another thing that's nice is that talking with flawed people can give me like an outlet to discuss other things as well. The boundaries thing is a really good example where, oh god, I hate that I'm about to say this. Jordan Peterson has an interesting quote. I think I saw this on Twitter, but it's something like, it's very easy to see when people are being excessively hateful because they're like hanging people or murdering people. It's very hard to see when people are being excessively compassionate. Both of those things can be equally bad. So I think it's similar to when you look at relationships. It's very easy to see when somebody is being excessively aggressive and pushing for too much. It's a lot harder to see when somebody is being excessively weak when it comes to setting certain boundaries. This can be sexual or non-sexual. Yeah, and if somebody fails to set like appropriate boundaries, then like everybody's fighting all the time. Neither person knows where they're standing at any point in time. Like everything just gets like super fucked. Yeah, and it's not good. And sometimes a person's inability or unwillingness to set boundaries can contribute just as much, if not more, chaos to a relationship as somebody that is just too aggressive or pushing all the time for things, you know? Yeah. Can you give some examples of people who are excessively compassionate? Yeah, when people want to indulge in every single fantasy of a child by saying that they're a victim, that they need help with everything, that all of society is oppressive, that you should never be sad or upset about anything. The lack of willingness to challenge people is our number one crime today. That people think that a pain-free existence is a good existence, that there's no type of good conflict. There's a lot of good conflict that you can introduce to somebody in school, especially, because that's the best place to do it. That grows your character, right? Conflict is good. You know, conflict breeds a whole bunch of potentially good things. Now, I don't mean you should be like raping children and that they'll overcome that. I'm not saying that, or you should beat the fuck out of your kids. But like some level of discomfort or conflict is necessary to grow in almost all circumstances. Reading, you know, nonfiction can be boring, but you learn. Going to the gym sucks, but you get stronger. You know, eating healthy isn't as much fun as eating donuts all the time, but you grow, right? Like there's a lot of like potential conflict that you can introduce. You know, having some, you know, ideological friction with people around you can be uncomfortable, but like you learn and grow from it. But I think that people's like overwhelming amount of compassion these days, it's really ignorance, I think, masquerading as compassion, because you're inhibiting people's ability to grow and learn by saying that they can't handle any conflict in their life at all, you know? Do you think that a teacher could implement conflict in a classroom? Absolutely. Yeah, of course. When you guys do like mock trial stuff or whatever, you know, like, oh, you guys have to argue, write a paper arguing in favor of this or that, or, you know, like these can be like ways of introducing conflict, you know? Like the gold stars in School of Rock. True. Anything else about this, or are we moving on from this conversation? Are we good here, or? Okay, hold on, sorry. Somebody's asking me, can you explain how a person who is too accommodating can be bad? Okay, if you have something that makes you uncomfortable, there are two negative ways that this can be dealt with, okay? We finally have learned this about trigger warnings. Thank God, although they're probably never going away, even though now we know they're garbage. They don't do anything, okay? So either one, you can be over accommodating to yourself, meaning that you constantly avoid like triggering stimuli, or two, your environment can be over accommodating. So I think that what the research has said now is that when you over accommodate people, you make people more stressed out about the things you're trying to over accommodate for. So if somebody wants to link it in chat, I don't have it, but they did, I think they did a study where they had a bunch of people read a passage, or it might've been several passages, and they, for one of them, they provided trigger warnings beforehand, and for the other one, they gave no trigger warnings. They had them read it and then report back their feelings like a day later or a week later or something about it. And when you're given a trigger warning, you are more likely to report feelings of discomfort relating to whatever you've seen. Like just being primed with that trigger warning already makes you uncomfortable. And yeah, I think it says something to the resiliency of a person. If you like just reading something, you need like 15 different trigger warnings, or like trigger warning, rape, trigger warning, whatever. Trigger. It's like, bro, it's a fucking sentence on Twitter. Okay, if you're honestly this triggered, you need therapy. Okay, like we shouldn't be building the world around accommodating every single potential negative interaction somebody could have with a particular stimulus. Like people should be built up to be resilient enough to navigate the world without having to avoid every potential thing that can make them uncomfortable. That's another thing too, and this kind of goes along with my compassion thing. You cannot, your life should not be about avoiding every single uncomfortable thing. Like you should be able to handle a healthy level of discomfort in your life. So it's okay. It's okay to feel a little bit uncomfortable. You should be able to deal with that. You should be able to emotionally handle that. Maybe your, pulse is a little bit whatever, but like physiologically have it, but you should be able to deal with it and then move on. Not every negative experience has to be traumatizing. Not every bad relationship was abusive. Not every bad sexual encounter was rape or sexual assault. Like sometimes things are just like, it is what it is. Like Dan avoiding working on his knee. Exactly. Okay. I think the hard part is making yourself seek it out when you need to, not just dealing with it when it comes your way. Yeah, but the problem is that like this, I think that this starts in school. Right? What do we teach people in school? Because it feels like now, I haven't been in school for a while, but it feels like what's being taught, especially in colleges, is they don't teach you how to deal with uncomfortable situations. They teach you how to avoid uncomfortable situations. These are the types of people you should never talk to. If somebody has this sticker on their car, avoid them, they're a fascist. If somebody has this color hair, ignore them, don't ever do anything. If somebody's this political party, they're a Nazi, don't talk to them. If somebody does this thing, like they're not worth it, they're not even human. If somebody like that, we're not teaching you like, hey, when you're having a conversation, somebody's like really challenging a lot of your preconceptions, like, think about this or that, right? Like, do you feel confident in what you believe in? Do you feel confident that you can represent what you believe in? Do you feel confident that you can listen to somebody say some real dumb shit and not get ultra triggered over and be like, okay, I understand your opinion. I don't really respect it much, but whatever, we're good, right? Do you have building on those types of capabilities or resiliences is more important than helping you avoid every single potential negative interaction in your entire life. That's insane to me. I think that's really, really bad. You see it happen on social media, right? We have the most useless tool that exists. They should just get rid of it. I think that they should just get rid of every single block or ignore function on every single platform. I don't even know why blocks exist anymore, because anything that you would block somebody for, now you can just report them and they'll get banned. It used to be, in the very late 90s and in the 2000s, you're like, oh, this guy's saying some shit that you don't like, block him. Just block him, ignore him, mute him. Wait, who cares, right? But that's not a thing anymore. It's not enough to block somebody. Now you have to get them banned, fired, kicked out of their apartment, and banned from every payment processor that they ever used to run a business. Like, Jesus. Go back to school, please, before actually commenting about what is being taught in school. I'm going by the things that I've seen. I think I've seen enough in schools to say that this is an issue in schools. I think one of the biggest examples of this was when the Rittenhouse verdict rolled out and every single school decided to, not every single one, but a fuck ton of schools in the United States started to mail out statements to the student body saying, if you need counseling because of this highly traumatic infringement of justice upon black communities, then go ahead and report to the counseling. Bullshit, dude. At that point, bro, if you're sending out messages like that, you're fucked, okay? Your student body is fucked. Your people are fucked. Your humans are fucked. Your minds are fucked. Like, you're that upset about the outcome of a court case that, like, get the fuck out of here, okay? It's not Dred Scott, okay? It's not Plessy v. Ferguson. We're not talking about fucking, like, oh God, like, black people are slaves again. Sure, let's go to counseling. Now we can talk. Now there are problems, right? Give me the outcome of a, no. That's insane, okay? Was that for the Rittenhouse shit? Yeah. That was absolutely unreal to me. Jesus Christ. I think it happens more in colleges rather than high school. Yeah, this seems to be more a college thing, but yeah. I don't think that many schools did that. There's hundreds of unis and colleges. You're gonna have someone. My school did it. UNO, the University of Nebraska at Omaha. Fucking, if my school did it, and I saw a few of the Ivy Leagues did it, it wouldn't surprise me if like 50% of schools did it, made some sort of statement. Maybe I'm thinking way too high. But like, I saw statements from a lot of different colleges, and I know that mine did it, which is like a fucking state school in Nebraska. So yeah, I don't know, but maybe my estimates, maybe it's really high. Maybe only like 10 schools did it, and mine just happened to be the one of the ones that did it. You know, I don't know. The issue is that we are teaching the opposite literally, i.e., anyone slightly off from my prescriptions is evil and irredeemable. True. It's because a lot of colleges now see their students as clients now and feels they have to cater to them. No, I disagree with that. No. People will, if we set aside all the lefty bullshit and all the conservative bullshit, people go to college because that's where the fucking money is. You will make money with a college degree. Everybody can pretend that's not true because that's like the popular talking point. There's a reason why people go to college and get degrees. And that's because you get fucking compensated for it, okay? The money's still there for it. I think that the thing is that school administrators are very, 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 very left-leaning. School administrators are crazy left-leaning for whatever fucking reason. More left-leaning than the professors, usually. That's what I see over and over again when issues pop up. It doesn't seem to be the case that it's like a professor that is like irritated about stuff going on. It's always like school administration that's pushing really far to the left sometimes. Yeah.
Für die Allianz.
You're saying that the college sees the students as clients, so the administrators try to cater to the very lefty student body. Yeah, but I don't think you have to cater to the lefty student body. You can just tell students like, yo, fuck it. This is what we're going to do. We're not going to do this shit. What are the students just going to not go to school? Nah, I don't think so. They'll still go.
Ehre dem König, Freund.
My experience is that the admin people are super wild, but the professors always seem to have reasonable takes. Yeah, that's my take too, based on the stories that I see coming out. Seems like professors are generally reasonable, but school administrators are fucking wild, fucking insane. Holy shit. Absolutely fucking unhinged. Political shit isn't even touched that much with a 10-foot pole in relatively political classes. This is a culture thing rather than schools teaching lefty propaganda. I'm not talking about, don't misunderstand me. I'm talking about like the culture at colleges. I don't think that you're going to take a college class and they're going to teach you to be like super intolerant or weak. I don't think that's the case. I think that is the overall college culture that exists today is one of like college was ideally supposed to be a place where, or this is what I learned growing up. College is the last place for you to truly be challenged in an uncomfortable way before you go off into the real world. College is the last place where they can mind fuck you as hard as possible, and it's good. You're chill. Like you can, you're in a safe spot. You've got people that you can talk to. You've got professors to like give you guidance. Like this is the last place that you can stop at to be truly challenged before you step out of school and then you depart into the real world. And people aren't gonna like make you uncomfortable at work or something, right? But it seems like there's a greater interest now in making sure that it just kind of caters to all of the little individual emotional whims of the students to make sure that they're perpetually happy and never upset or challenged with anything. turn into the student body that makes a big deal about things. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. How come conservatives have almost no cultural pull, even though there's so many of them? I don't know. It's a good question. I think a lot of them have themselves to blame. This concept that like art is for losers and you should only focus on like I think conservatives like fed into that a lot, and I think it fucked them hard. Like they obsess over art from like the 1800s and they don't even know any of it. They just say they like it, and then they pretend that like everybody doing music and everybody doing painting and photography are all fucking loser kids or whatever. It's like, okay, well, if you want that to be your perspective on art, that's fine. But you can't be surprised when 30 years later the left won the culture war, okay? Because you have no cultured fucking people. You all got MBAs and you went to work on fucking Wall Street. How can you be surprised that that's the outcome? You know? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why conservatives were. I do know why, but like it's just stupid that you like are so invested. That dichotomy between like art and science, like they're two like diametrically opposed things, and an artist can't think like a scientist and a scientist can't think like an artist. It's just so fucking irritating. It's so stupid. But do you require retrospection from your partner? Does a very retrospective person need another retrospective person for a successful... Wait, what is retrospection? Looking back on things? Do you mean introspection? Did you experience any of that from your family growing up doing music school? Bro, my family moved away when I was like 16, 17. I did whatever the fuck I wanted to do. I didn't, why would I have their approval for anything? It's not like they paid for any of my schooling or anything. You think Mr. Girl meant Shaylin was being an excessively compassionate person by being underhanded? No, I'm too lazy to explore that. Or explain that. Or explore it. Surely the answer isn't just to be unaccommodating and reintroduce arbitrary problems like racism. How do you reverse this trend of overaccommodation without harming people unnecessarily? A little bit of harm is okay. You can be around a person that's like racist or hateful a little bit in small doses. It inoculates you. You should be able to handle a little bit of it. You should have the ability to deal with that. You should be able to be around people that don't like you, even people that might even hate parts of you. Like that's like we live in such a huge country with so many different types of people and so many different types of beliefs that you're gonna have to accept that at points you're gonna come across people that really don't like you, might even hate parts of you. That's part of the agreement that you make living in this society. Like that's just how it goes. That's why it's really sad when you see like people going to speak at colleges getting protested off campus. It's like, bro, just don't go to the speech if you don't like it. Are you serious right now? What the fuck? It's very hard to modulate how much racism any one person is exposed to. It's very hard to achieve what you're advocating for. I mean, setting up society is kind of hard. I'm not saying that you have to like make it so that like, hey, you know, we have a quota that we have to have at least 2% of our student body comprised of KKK members. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that like, I don't know if we need like a diversity safe space on every college campus where white students aren't allowed without getting bullied. You know, like I'm just saying like, there's gotta be, we can do it. Okay. You can find a better middle ground. Why not apply this to high school too? I mean, it can be a little bit to high school, but like I think in high school you're still like a little bit too formative. College is a good place to challenge people, but there are POC only dorms, dude. I try not to think about it, but there's that stupid fucking video of like the woke guy and the racist guy and how they agree and everything. I remember walking around at Dartmouth, and I was like looking around. There were a lot of dorms that were like, this is like the Asian whatever dorm, this is like the Indian whatever, and I'm like, isn't it a little bit weird that you've like segregated a lot of your dorms by ethnicity? And it was like, and the kids are like, yeah, I guess. I'm selling my teeth. No. But I mean, like, it's kind of funny. It's kind of interesting. But they are not segregated. I mean, you can say they're not, but I mean, like, they literally. Could a white person go and live in one of the like Indian dorms? Is that possible, or? Were they separated by ethnicity? Or were the dorms for students who moved from a foreign country? I think no, hold on. Let me be more clear. They didn't have like all ethnically separated dorms. It wasn't like this is only for white people, this is only for whatever, and this is only for whatever. They just had a few dorm buildings that were reserved for students of a particular ethnicity. And it might have been for like if they couldn't speak the language or something, maybe. I'm not saying that these are like the worst idea in the world. I'm just saying that in the totality of everything, sometimes it seems a little bit funny, but I'm not saying every single dorm was separated by like blacks here, browns here, whites here or something.
Why did I punch her in the face?
Yeah.
I absolutely have snapped, but I can control what I do when I've snapped. But when you say
no, that's not true.
It is true. It absolutely is true. No, it's totally
that's
true.
absolute bullshit.
I'm sorry I lashed out. I want you to know I have a mental illness. I was triggered. This is why it happened. I will work on myself and do my steps and not do it again, right?
I think that's a bunch of horse shit. Steven, do you want to go first, or should I? How are we
I don't have any problem. You guys are the ones that are at each other's throats, so one of you guys have to figure out who's going first.
Okay.
Max?
Sure. Hello.
Hi.
People keep sending me clips of you, talking about me.
Yeah.
Okay. And, you're challenging me to some kind of duel, it feels like. You're saying, come on, bitch, are you weak, blah, blah, blah. It feels like you're trying to provoke me into, some kind of rematch. Is that true?
I don't know if it's the rematch. No, first, obviously, everything I've said is because I hope you're not taking me too seriously on anything that sounds too offensive. If you are offended, please let me know and I'll stop. But I liked our convo and I want to have it again, but in a more, I feel more comfortable. Well, I feel more comfortable now that I've seen more of your content and we've talked. So I think we'll have a much more interesting conversation. Not that it wasn't interesting before. It was very
You want to run it
different.
back?
Well, I don't know if there's anything to be run back. I think we need to go further, deeper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're saying that you are not trying to provoke me into this. That perception of mine is incorrect.
Well, provoke kind of assumes I'm not already in your DMs. Like, right? I don't need to. I want to hang out and talk. But I was quite passionate the other day, so it probably sounded more like a battle. But yeah, I would love to spar with you intellectually. I think it'd be so fun. Is that what you mean?
When he's saying provoke, he means like sometimes what streamers do is we'll be like, this guy's a motherfucker, fuck this dude, and you're trying to like cause so much shit that the fan bases start clashing, and then eventually somebody's got to reach up like, all right, let's throw down. You called me out, okay? High noon, outside the saloon. You know, bring your pistol.
I mean, that's why we're all talking right now, isn't it? I feel like the fan bases are now expecting some kind of ultimate showdown.
That's what he means by
oh gosh.
provoked, yeah.
Okay, so in my head, I was like, oh, we already talked once, so now we're kind of like cool enough that I can go at him and he can go at me, and now because we're like know each other a little bit, we can be like.
I'm sure you've got some kind of rational explanation for all this. I'm just saying it seems like you're trying to provoke me. If you're saying you're not, then I will not take you at your word, but we can.
I'm trying to I'm trying to invite you to discuss with me. Provoke sounds like a debate thing, and I don't want to debate you. You know I'm not good at that. I just want to have a conversation.
Well, you are good at it if the other person doesn't know you're debating, and you're good at provocation if the other person doesn't. Like, you're basically saying anything I say that you take offense to is a joke. Anything I say that makes you mad is a joke. I'm just joking around. I just blah, blah, blah. I don't want to fight with you. I just want to spar with you. I don't want to debate you. It's just, you're going to constantly change the definition of what's happening so that I can never get a handle on what's going on. And then all I can do in response is say things like what I'm saying right now, which is just telling you what I think is happening endlessly.
If provoke means encourage, then yes, I want to provoke you into having a discussion with me. But I don't think I think we already are going to do that, right?
Discomfort.
Do I make you uncomfortable?
I don't think the clips people have sent me have made me uncomfortable.
Okay. Did you want to discuss them? Do you have time to discuss them now, or would you like to discuss them later?
We can discuss them now.
I know you said you were short on time.
I am.
Okay.
Not that short on time.
Okay.
I'm not that short on time.
Is it
I just
like
don't think I can do the whole thing.
For sure.
What?
I would love clarification on who Max is, what his background is, what like brought you to be this person.
It's a Jewish background.
Well, how Jewish are you? Are you as Jewish as I am Assyrian? Like, how Jewish are you?
Oh man.
I am racially, I believe I am either 3/8 or half Jewish.
Okay. So you're not like involved in the community? Do you hang out with the peeps? Like, are you involved in their like?
I've never been to a Passover dinner. A menorah has never been inside my house.
Interesting.
I've never participated in any Jewish customs or rituals or whatever it is those fucks do. I don't know anything about it. I grew up celebrating Christmas and Easter like a good Iraqi Christian. Yeah, I don't have any. But like, you know, stuff going out for Chinese food on Christmas. That's a Jewish tradition. I did that. I'd see a lot of Jews at the restaurant there. So there's definitely some, you know, in having a grandfather who was a psychologist, that seems like a Jewish thing. So like, there's definitely some. Yeah, you can say like, well, of course you blah blah blah. But like, explicitly religious and cultural, I have no connection to the tribe.
Okay, so I was walking the dog earlier, and I was thinking about why this was so offensive to people. I'm like, what did I say? And then I realized I was like, well, maybe he's not Jewish, and I was like, oh, well, that will make a lot more sense. And then I heard you earlier say that you were raised atheist. Is that correct?
I was raised atheist, but that's not why people were offended.
Why were people offended?
It had nothing to do with me. It's just that you in an out of context clip saying go be Jewish somewhere else sounds anti-Semitic.
What if I said go be white somewhere else?
Well, it's okay to be anti-white, but that is also actually racist. And I think it was racist when you said that, but people just don't care when you're racist towards white people. So
I think to give a little bit